Hello, good morning, everyone. I pray you and your families are doing very well. Today we are here, and it's Exodus chapter 16. And one thing I find it very fascinating about this Israelite, and it's because remember, when they were in Egypt, right? They didn't experience the plagues, right? It was the Egyptians, right? Remember, they were dwelling in Goshen, where there was light. So the very things that happened, the wailing and all of that, the plague of locusts, they didn't experience it, right? But after reading through chapter 16 and somewhat 17, I find out how sometimes if God doesn't put us through certain things to strengthen us, to get us ready for our next level, it doesn't make us better. Because imagine, okay, I was just thinking aloud and I was like imagining like if Pharaoh didn't die from the Red Sea and the chariot, and if they were to just to God should have them have a feel of the storm and have them come back. I feel like they will have a different perception about God. They will fear God. And for Moses feared God so much after the Red Sea experience. Why? Because he saw the locust. He saw all the different plagues, and then he saw the hand of God, where God was able to part the dry grounds in the midst of the Red Sea. So for Moses, his attitude wasn't that of like the Israelite, because the Israelite complains about every single thing. But look at Moses. I mean, in the beginning, Moses was giving excuses and all, but the moment God put Moses through the process where he was to go to Pharaoh, where he saw plague after plague happening to the Egyptian. To me, I feel Moses it changed how he receives God, or how also he sees God. But because the Israelites were dwelling in Goshen, they didn't get to experience any of the plagues. It happened to the Egyptians and not them. Let's listen. The whole Israelite community set out to Elim and came out to a desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month. After they had come out of Egypt in the desert, the whole community grumbled against what Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt." Wow. So God did all these plagues for you guys so that you will be liberated. So you'll be what? You come out of slavery. And wow, it's very ungrateful for this to come out of the mouth of the Israelite. That what? Listen to what they said. The Israelites said to them, "If only we have died by the Lord's hand in Egypt." They were there. We sat around pot of meat and eat all the food we want. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve the entire assembly to death. So this is God who was able to part the dry grounds for you in the midst of the Red Sea. You complain about water in Elim, where he was able to give you guys what able to make the Mara, what made it fit to what drink. So when you complain about something God gives you, but should we always be complaining for God to intervene? You know, sometimes we should grow in a point where we have experienced God's hand and we can say, God, we trust you to do this for us, but not to grumble, complain, and make God feel incompetent. So this is somebody who he has sacrificed plagues after plague. You know, I believe there were innocent people who died because of what Pharaoh's disobedience. How sad that is. But God spared your life, and now you said it would have been better if you would have died in what? Egypt. Okay. Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them." So now it's not God what hardening Pharaoh's heart. It's now God what testing this Israelite. When you read chapter 15, God gave them a command. He said, if you guys act, if you guys don't listen to my commandment, I'm going to bring the diseases that I brought to the Egyptian. But these people have started already acting out. So let's listen. It said, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. So God is always commanding us to what? To be obedient. Okay, on the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, in the evening you will know that it is the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that we should grumble against God? Like I said earlier, who are we? This is what Moses and Aaron were telling them after God has done, because they have seen the hand of God. Moses and Aaron saw all the plagues and saw how God delivered them from Egypt. So they didn't have a choice to be ungrateful. But he said, who are we to grumble against God? May God forgive us if we've grumbled against him in any way. Moses also said, you will know that it is the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord. Okay, so to them they always, to them they felt, oh, it's Moses and Aaron trying to escape them out of Egypt or something. But these people have witnessed the hand of God. Then Moses and Aaron said, say to the entire Israelite community, come before the Lord, he has heard your grumbling. While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israel community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in a cloud. So when Moses was speaking to them, they all saw the glory of God. How can you see God's glory, but yet in chapters to come, they are going to still grumble? But that tells me that is the nature of man. We always forget. We are never satisfied. We are always seeking, trying to acquire as much. And at the end, we don't get to use all these things that we are seeking for. The most important thing that we work on this soul. Okay? Then the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them at twilight, you will eat meat, and in the morning you'll be filled with bread. So for me, I was like, why is it that God always want to do things at twilight? Okay, at twilight. So it didn't say during the day. It didn't say in the middle of the day. It said at twilight. You will eat meat, and in the morning you'll be filled with bread. Then you will know I am your God. So God has done several things, not only Pharaoh. In the beginning, it was Pharaoh. God wanted to prove a point to Pharaoh, but not only to Pharaoh. But because these Israelites didn't experience all these plagues, you parting the Red Sea, yes, that's nice. But for them, they didn't see all the harsh things. So for them, they thought, hey, I'm entitled to this, But that's when Moses reminded them, who are you to grumble against God? Okay, then Moses said to them, it is the bread the Lord has given to you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded everyone to gather as much as they need, okay, for each family. Okay, then Moses said, no one is to keep it until morning. Specific instructions again. However, some people paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning, and it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses gave them specific instruction, because the Lord made it to the point that every morning he was raining manna. He said what? Don't keep any. But some people did not pay attention. It's my prayer that we will not be disobedient, but we will always be obedient to the voice of the Lord. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as they needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away, because it was manna only for the morning. Manna only for the morning, because When God gave Moses the instruction, God told Moses that in the morning I'm going to rain what? Bread. They gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person, and the leaders of the community came and reported to Moses. He said to them, this is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath. So the Sabbath day, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until morning. So they saved it until morning as Moses commanded, and it did not what? Got stink or got maggot, because God has commanded it. The things that God did not give permission for the manna, it had what? Maggot, and it began to smell. Okay, eat it today, Moses said, because today is Sabbath and it's for the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. But listen, there are always people who never pay attention. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath day, there will not be any. Nevertheless, some of the people went out of the 7th day to gather it, but they found none, because they didn't listen. Then the Lord said to Moses, how long would you refuse to keep my commandment and my instructions? How long will we be disobedient? How long will we not listen to God's instructions? Okay, bear it in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day, he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where they are on the 7th day. No one is to go out. So the people rested on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was like a white, it was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. Wow. Wow. Moses said, this is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it to the generations to come, so they can see the bread I gave you in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt. So that tells me that in the wilderness, when God takes us through the wilderness, he still expects us to be obedient. In our wilderness, God expects us to be obedient. We are not going to get what we want in the wilderness experience, but yet he expects us to be obedient. Even though these people grumbled against him, he still brought them things, but yet some people still disobeyed. So Moses said to Aaron, take a jar and put an omer of manna in it, then take it before the Lord to keep for generations to come. The Lord commanded Moses and Aaron to put the manna on the tablet of covenant of Lord, so that it might be preserved. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years. Wow. Until they came to the land that was settled, they ate manna until they reached the border of what? Canaan. They ate manna. So every morning God was giving them manna. So today, if you're listening to me and you're having financial problems, if God was able to provide manna every morning, that same God will be able to provide for you. If you seek him, if only you seek him with obedience. So for them, they were lucky to have an obedient leader like Moses and Aaron. For the Egyptians, they had a disobedient leader, Pharaoh. That's why they went through all the plagues. So it is my prayer that not only should we not pray for ourselves, we should pray for our leaders, the people who lead us. Because guess what? If they are disobedient, because the oil flows from the top, right? So if they are not in sync with the Holy Spirit, who suffers? You suffer. So it is my prayer that God will what? Cause our leaders to be in alignment with him. So what? That the God will be able to rain manna on us in the place where we don't have food to eat. God will be able to meet us at the point of our need. So what did we learn in chapter 16? Obedience. Again, when God told them not to keep the manna, not to save them, but to keep what they want, they have to eat that day. Some people were still saving them, and they were what? It was smelling. and it was what? Then there were maggots coming out of it. When God told some people that on the 6th day, gather the manna that you will need for the 7th day. The 7th day, they still went out to look for manna. It is my prayer that God will not tell us how disobedient we are. Because God told Moses,